The grand ballroom of the Meridian Hotel sparkled with crystal chandeliers that cast dancing shadows across marble floors. Camila Torres moved gracefully between tables, balancing a silver tray of champagne glasses with practiced ease. Her black server uniform was simple and plain, designed to make her invisible among the wealthy guests who filled the room. She had worked dozens of these events over the past 2 years, always on the outside, looking in at a world that seemed impossibly distant from her cramped studio apartment and paint-stained hands. Tonight was supposed to be like any other evening. Serve drinks, collect empty plates, earn enough money to cover rent, and buy more art supplies. But fate had different plans waiting in the shadows of that glittering ballroom. An unwelcome reunion. Camila had just finished delivering drinks to table, 17 when she heard a familiar laugh that made her blood run cold. She turned slowly, hoping she was mistaken, but there he stood. Derek Mitchell, her ex-boyfriend of 3 years, looking polished and successful in his designer tuxedo. On his arm was Victoria Lang, a woman whose dress probably cost more than Camila earned in 6 months. The diamonds around Victoria's neck caught the light as she laughed at something Derek whispered in her ear. Camila's grip tightened on her empty tray. She had not seen Derek since their painful breakup 8 months ago when he told her that dating a struggling artist was holding back his career. He needed someone who matched his ambitions, someone who belonged in rooms like this one. The words had shattered her confidence, making her question everything about herself and her dreams. The cruel words. Before Camila could retreat to the safety of the kitchen, Derek's eyes landed on her. His expression shifted from surprise to something cruel and satisfied. He nudged Victoria and gestured toward Camila with his champagne glass. They approached with the predatory confidence of people who knew they held all the power in this moment. Derek's smile was sharp and cold. "Still playing dress-up among your betters, I see. Though I suppose the uniform suits you better than pretending to be someone important." Victoria giggled, examining Camila from head to toe with obvious disdain. "This is the artist you told me about? How charming that she found work that actually pays the bills." The words hit Camila like physical blows. Heat rushed to her cheeks as nearby servers glanced over with sympathetic expressions. She wanted to defend herself, to remind Derek that he once claimed to love her dreams and her passion for painting. But the words stuck in her throat, trapped by years of being told she was not good enough, not practical enough, not worth enough. A stranger's intervention. Camila's vision blurred with unshed tears as she turned to escape, but she collided directly into a solid chest. Strong hands steadied her shoulders as her empty tray clattered to the floor. She looked up into the most striking eyes she had ever seen, a deep blue that seemed to see straight through her pain. The man who caught her was tall and composed, dressed in a perfectly tailored midnight blue suit that spoke of understated wealth. His dark hair was styled elegantly, and his presence commanded attention without demanding it. He looked at Camila with genuine concern, not the pity or amusement she expected. "Are you all right?" His voice was smooth and warm, carrying an authority. That made Derek take an involuntary step backward. Camila's mind raced. This stranger clearly thought she was a guest who had stumbled, not a server who had dropped her tray. Before she could correct him, Derek's mocking voice cut through the moment. "She's fine. Just a clumsy waitress who should watch where she's going, the bold lie something." Inside, Camila snapped. She was tired of being small, tired of apologizing for existing, tired of letting Derek define her worth. Without thinking, she looked up at the handsome stranger and spoke with a confidence she did not feel. "Actually, I was looking for you. I got turned around trying to find our table." The stranger's eyebrows lifted slightly, and for one terrifying heartbeat. Camila thought he would expose her lie right there in front of Derek and Victoria. Instead, his expression shifted into something unreadable. He studied her face for a long moment, and she saw the exact second he understood what she was asking for without words. His arm slipped around her waist with surprising gentleness. "Of course. I've been looking for you as well. Shall we?" Derek's confident smirk faltered. He looked between Camila and the stranger with growing confusion. "Wait. You two know each other?" The perfect performance. The stranger's hand pressed lightly against the small of Camila's back, guiding her away from Derek and Victoria with effortless grace. "We do now," he said simply, his tone leaving no room for further questions. Camila's heart pounded so violently she was certain everyone in the ballroom could hear it. She allowed herself to be led away, feeling Derek's shocked stare burning into her back. The stranger navigated through the crowd with ease, nodding politely to people who greeted him with obvious respect and barely concealed curiosity about his companion. They reached the edge of the ballroom where glass doors opened onto a moonlit terrace. The cool night air hit Camila's flushed face as they stepped outside, away from the noise and the watching eyes. The stranger released her waist and turned to face her with an expression she could not quite read. That was either very brave or very reckless, he observed, though his tone held no judgment. Perhaps both. Camila's courage crumbled. "Oh God, I am so sorry. I did not mean to drag you into my mess. I could not stand there and let him." Her words trailed off as embarrassment overwhelmed her. What had she been thinking? This man was clearly someone important, someone who belonged in this world of wealth and privilege. Now she had involved him in her pathetic drama with her ex-boyfriend. An unexpected kindness. The stranger studied her for a moment longer, then did something completely unexpected. He smiled. It was a genuine smile that transformed his serious features into something warm and approachable. No apology necessary. I have never been very good at standing by while someone is being humiliated. Though I am curious about one thing. Camila braced herself for the question she dreaded. "What?" He gestured toward the ballroom behind them. "Should I know who that unpleasant man was?" He seemed to think his opinion mattered. Despite everything, Camila felt a laugh bubble up from her chest. "No one important. Just someone I used to know who enjoys reminding me of all the ways I have failed to meet his expectations." The stranger's expression darkened slightly, then his expectations were clearly flawed from the start. The simple statement, delivered with such certainty, made something crack open inside Camila's chest. When was the last time someone had defended her without expecting anything in return? When had anyone looked at her the way this stranger was looking at her now, as if she mattered, as if she had worth beyond what she could offer them? The invitation. The stranger extended his hand formally. "I am Julian, by the way. Since we are apparently attending this gala together, I should probably know your name." Camila hesitated for only a second before placing her hand in his. Camila Torres. Julian's handshake was firm and warm. "Well, Camila Torres, since you have already claimed to be my companion for the evening, would you like to make it official? I find these events unbearably dull alone, and you look like you could use an escape from your memories in there." Camila's breath caught. Was he seriously asking her to stay? To continue this impossible charade? She should say no, should explain the truth, should return to her serving duties before she got fired. But when she looked into Julian's patient, kind eyes, she found herself nodding. "I would like that very much." Julian offered his arm like a gentleman from another era. "Then let us give them all something to talk about." As Camila placed her hand on his arm and walked back into the ballroom, she had no idea that this single impulsive decision would change everything. She did not know that Julian Westbrook was one of the most successful tech entrepreneurs in the country, that his quiet presence commanded respect in boardrooms around the world, or that his decision to play along with her desperate lie would set in motion events neither of them could control. All she knew was that for the first time in 8 months, she felt like she could breathe. And sometimes, That is how the most extraordinary love stories begin. Not with grand gestures or careful plans, but with a moment of desperate courage and a stranger kind enough to catch you when you fall. Camila woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar curtains. For a disoriented moment, she forgot where she was. Then the memories of the previous night flooded back like a tidal wave. The charity gala, Derek's cruel words, Julian's unexpected kindness. The entire evening spent pretending to be someone she was not, dancing and laughing and talking with a man who made her feel like she belonged in that glittering world. She sat up quickly, her heart racing with panic. The elegant guest room Julian had arranged for her at the hotel was far more luxurious than anywhere she had ever stayed. The silk sheets felt impossibly soft against her skin, and through the window she could see the city skyline bathed in golden morning light. It had all felt like a beautiful dream last night, but now reality crashed down with crushing weight. What had she done? She had abandoned her serving duties without explanation. She had probably been fired. Worse, she had lied to Julian, letting him believe she was a guest when she was actually hired staff. He had been nothing but kind to her, and she had repaid that kindness with deception. The shocking discovery, Camila grabbed her phone from the nightstand, dreading what she might find. Sure enough, there were 3 missed calls from her supervisor, and a text message that confirmed her fears. She had been terminated effective immediately for abandoning her post. 8 months of reliable work erased in a single impulsive evening. Her stomach twisted with guilt and regret as she scrolled through her phone. But then something else caught her attention. A news notification flashed across her screen with a headline that made her blood run cold. Tech billionaire Julian Westbrook makes rare public appearance with mystery woman. Camila's hands trembled as she opened the article. There was a photo of her and Julian from last night, taken as they walked through the ballroom. He looked composed and confident as always. She looked nervous, but happier than she had felt in months. The article described Julian as one of the youngest self-made billionaires in the technology sector, a reclusive genius who rarely attended social events and never brought companions. A billionaire. Julian was not just wealthy. He was one of those people whose decisions shaped entire industries, and she had dragged him into her petty drama without even knowing who he was. The confrontation, Camila was still staring at her phone in shock when someone knocked on her door. She froze, praying it was not Julian. She could not face him now, could not admit what she had done. But when she opened the door, she found something worse. Derek stood in the hallway, his expression twisted with vindictive satisfaction. So the little waitress managed to trick Julian Westbrook into thinking she was worth his time, Derek said, pushing past her into the room without invitation. I have to admit, I am almost impressed by your audacity. Camila's chest tightened with fear. How did you find me? Derek laughed, a cold sound without humor. This is the internet age, sweetheart. That photo of you and Westbrook is everywhere. It was not hard to figure out which hotel you were staying at. His company owns half the buildings in this city. The threat Derek circled the room like a predator sizing up prey. Victoria was furious when she saw those pictures. She thinks I still have feelings for you, which is ridiculous. But it did give me an idea. Camila crossed her arms, trying to appear braver than she felt. What do you want, Derek? He turned to face her, his smile sharp and cruel. I want to make sure everyone knows the truth about who you really are. A broke artist playing dress-up. A waitress pretending to be high society. By this afternoon, every gossip blog in the city will know that Julian Westbrook's mystery woman is actually the help he mistook for a guest. The words hit Camila like a punch to the stomach. She had known this moment would come, that her lie would be exposed. But hearing Derek threaten to humiliate not just her, but Julian as well, made something fierce rise up inside her. Why are you doing this? What did I ever do to you besides love you when you did not deserve it? Derek's expression hardened. You embarrassed me. You made me look like a fool in front of Victoria and everyone at that gala. Did you really think I would let that slide? Julian's arrival. Before Camila could respond, the door opened again. Julian stepped into the room, his presence immediately commanding attention. His expression was calm, but something dangerous flickered in his blue eyes as he took in the scene before. Is there a problem here? His voice was quiet, but carried an unmistakable edge of authority. Derek straightened, suddenly less confident. Westbrook. I was just leaving. Julian moved to stand beside Camila, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from him. Actually, I think you should stay. I would like to hear more about these threats you were making. Derek's face flushed red. I was not threatening anyone. I was simply pointing out that people deserve to know the truth about who they are dealing with. Julian tilted his head slightly, studying Derek with the kind of attention one might give an interesting insect. The truth. You mean the truth that Camila worked at the gala last night instead of attending as a guest? Camila's heart stopped. He knew. Of course he knew. Someone as intelligent and observant as Julian would have figured it out. The unexpected. Derek's eyes lit up with triumph. So you admit it. She deceived you? Julian's expression never changed. She asked for help and I chose to give it. There was no deception. Only a man recognizing when someone needed rescue from a bully. The word bully landed like a slap. Derek's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. Julian continued in that same measured tone. Now, I suggest you leave before I have security escort you out. And if I see one word about Camila on any gossip site or social media platform, I will make it my personal mission to ensure your law firm understands exactly what kind of character they employ. Derek glared at both of them, his face twisted with rage and humiliation. But something in Julian's unwavering stare must have convinced him the threat was real. He turned and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. The honest conversation silence filled the room after Derek left. Camila stood frozen, unable to look at Julian. She had never felt more ashamed in her life. He had been kind to her, had protected her twice now, and she had repaid him with lies and complications. "I am so sorry," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I never meant for any of this to happen. I should have told you the truth last night. I just wanted to stop feeling so small for one evening." Julian moved to the window, looking out at the city below. His profile was thoughtful, almost contemplative. When he finally spoke, his words surprised her. "I knew who you were from the moment you bumped into me." Camila's head snapped up. "What?" He turned to face her, a slight smile playing at his lips. "The staff uniform is quite distinctive, even without the tray. But you looked so desperate, so determined not to let that man break you." "I admired that." The arrangement. Camila shook her head in confusion. "Then why did you play along? Why did you let me pretend all night?" Julian crossed the room until he stood directly in front of her. "Because sometimes we all need someone to believe in us, even if it is just for one evening. Because I understood what it felt like to be judged and found wanting by someone who claimed to care about you." His words echoed what he had told her on the terrace about his own past betrayal. Camila felt tears prick her eyes, overwhelmed by his kindness and her own shame. "I lost my job because of last night," she admitted quietly. "And now Derek is going to make sure everyone knows I am a fraud. My reputation, what little I had, is going to be destroyed." Julian studied her for a long moment, and she could almost see the wheels turning in his brilliant mind. What if we gave them a different story? Camila wiped her eyes. "What do you mean?" He moved to sit on the edge of the desk, his posture relaxed, but his gaze intense. "My publicist has been nagging me for months to improve my public image. Apparently, being labeled a reclusive workaholic is bad for business relationships." What if we continue what we started last night? Not as a deception, but as a mutually beneficial arrangement. Camila's heart hammered in her chest. You mean pretend to date? The decision, Julian nodded slowly. You would attend events with me, be seen at my side, help me navigate the social obligations I usually avoid. In return, I would provide financial support for your art career, a stipend, studio space, introductions to gallery owners, whatever you need to pursue your passion without worrying about rent or serving drinks. The offer was so generous it made Camila's head spin. It was everything she had dreamed of, the freedom to paint without constant financial terror. But it also felt wrong, like accepting charity disguised as a business deal. Why would you do this for me? We barely know each other. Julian's expression softened. Because I saw your paintings on your phone last night when you showed me your work. You have real talent, Camila. Talent that deserves a chance to flourish. And because I need someone genuine, by my side, someone who does not want me for my money or connections. Someone who stumbled into my life by accident and reminded me that not everyone in this world is calculating their next move. Camila wanted to say yes. Every practical bone in her body screamed that this was an opportunity she would never get again. But her pride, battered as it was, raised objections. This feels like you are saving me again. I do not want to be your charity project. Julian stood and moved closer, his blue eyes holding hers with startling intensity. This is not charity. This is a partnership. You would be doing me a favor as much as I would be helping you. I need someone I can trust in a world where trust is a rare commodity. Can you give me that? The agreement Camila searched his face for any sign of pity or condescension, but found only honest respect. He was treating her like an equal, offering a business arrangement between two people who could help each other. Perhaps that was exactly what they both needed. She took a deep breath and extended her hand. How long would this arrangement last? Julian shook her hand, his grip warm and steady. 6 months. Long enough to be convincing, short enough to have a natural ending when the time comes. No strings attached beyond our agreement. Camila felt the weight of the decision settle over her. This would change everything. It would blur lines between truth and performance in ways that scared her. But it would also give her the chance to prove to herself, and maybe to Derek and everyone else who had dismissed her dreams, that she was worth more than they believed. Deal, she said softly. Julian smiled, and something in that smile made her wonder if they were both getting into something far more complicated than either of them anticipated. Because even as they shook hands on their practical arrangement, Camila felt the spark of something that had nothing to do with business or convenience, something that felt dangerously close to hope. And hope, she had learned, could be the most beautiful and terrifying thing in the world. 3 weeks into their arrangement, Camila found herself standing in a private art studio that Julian had secured for her in the heart of the city. Floor-to-ceiling windows flooded the space with natural light, and the scent of fresh paint and possibility filled her lungs. She ran her fingers along the blank canvases stacked against the wall, still unable to believe this was real. Julian had kept every promise. The studio, the monthly stipend that let her quit searching for serving jobs, the introduction to gallery owners who actually looked at her work with interest instead of dismissal. But more than that, he had given her something she had not expected, his time and genuine interest in her art. He visited the studio twice a week, always asking thoughtful questions about her process and inspiration. He never pretended to understand. Techniques he did not know, but he listened with the same intense focus he probably brought to his business dealings. Camila found herself painting more freely than she had in years, creating works that felt raw and honest instead of desperate. Attempts to please potential buyers. The public performance, their public appearances followed a careful rhythm. Gallery openings, business dinners, charity auctions. Camila learned to navigate these events with growing confidence, though she never quite shook the feeling that she was an actress playing a role. Julian was always patient, his hand steady. At the small of her back, his presence a shield against the curious stares and whispered speculation. The media had embraced their story with enthusiasm. Headlines called her the mysterious artist who had captured the heart of the reclusive billionaire. Fashion magazines wanted to feature her style transformation. Gallery owners who had ignored her emails suddenly returned her calls. It was intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. But it was the quiet moments between the performances that began to unravel Camila's carefully guarded heart. The late-night conversations in his car after events, when Julian would drop his polished businessman facade and talk about his childhood dreams of becoming an architect. The Tuesday morning coffee runs he started making to her studio, claiming he needed a break from his office but really just wanting to see what she was working on. The way he remembered small details about her life, like her favorite takeout order or how she chewed her bottom lip when she was concentrating on a difficult section of a painting. The cracks in the facade. It was during a rainy Thursday afternoon that everything shifted. Camila was working on a large canvas, pouring her emotions into bold strokes of blue and gold, when Julian arrived earlier than expected. He was soaked from the rain, his usually perfect hair disheveled, his tie loosened. Something was wrong. Bad day? Camila set down her brush, concerned by the tension in his shoulders. Julian moved to the window, watching rain streak down the glass. I had lunch with my father today. He wanted to discuss my personal life, which means he wanted to lecture me about wasting time on a relationship that serves no purpose for the family business. Camila's chest tightened. Did you tell him about our arrangement? Julian turned to face her, and the vulnerability in his expression made her breath catch. No, because somewhere along the way, I stopped thinking of it as an arrangement, the honest confession. The words hung in the air between them, heavy with implications neither had been willing to acknowledge. Camila felt her heart hammer against her ribs as she searched his face for clarification. Julian, what are you saying? He crossed the studio slowly, each step deliberate. I am saying that pretending to care about you has become the easiest acting job I have ever had. Because I stopped pretending weeks ago. Camila shook her head, panic rising in her throat. We agreed this was business. 6 months, and then we both walk away. You said no strings attached. I know what I said. Julian stopped in front of her, close enough that she could see the flecks of darker blue in his eyes. But I did not anticipate how it would feel to watch you light up when you talk about your art, or how my entire week feels brighter knowing I will see you on Tuesday mornings. I did not plan on falling for you, Camila. But here we are. Camila wanted to say something, anything, but fear closed her throat. She had built her life around protecting herself from more heartbreak. Derek had taught her that love was conditional, that her worth was measured by how well she fit into someone else's plans. Julian was offering her something different, something terrifying in its sincerity. Derek's final strike. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed with an incoming message, then another, and another. Julian's phone started ringing simultaneously. Camila looked down at her screen and felt the blood drain from her face. Derek had made good on his threat, but with a twist she had not anticipated. He had leaked their arrangement to the press, spinning it as a calculated publicity stunt. Screenshots of what appeared to be their agreement, financial records of the stipend Julian provided, even photos of the studio with captions suggesting she was nothing more than a paid companion masquerading as a love interest. The headlines were already spreading across social media. Billionaire's fake romance exposed, and tech mogul hires struggling artist to play girlfriend. Every cruel assumption about her worth, every fear she had harbored about not being good enough, was now printed for the world to see. Camila felt the walls of her beautiful studio closing in. This was it. The moment when everything she had built came crashing down. The galleries would withdraw their interest. The media would paint her as a gold digger and a fraud. Julian's reputation would suffer because he had been kind to her. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I should never have agreed to this. I have ruined everything." The public declaration. Julian gently took the phone from her trembling hands and set it aside. Then he cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. "Look at me, Camila. Really look at me." She tried to turn away, but he held her steady, his touch gentle but insistent. "Do you think I care what those headlines say? Do you think any of that matters compared to what I feel when I am with you?" "It should matter," she sobbed. "Your business, your reputation, everything you have built can survive a scandal." Julian's voice was fierce, protective. "But I cannot survive going back to the empty life I was living before you stumbled into me at that gala. You asked me for one moment of courage that night, and I gave it to you. Now I am asking you for the same thing." "What do you mean?" He pulled out his own phone and opened a blank document. "I am going to make a statement. The truth. That yes, our relationship began as an arrangement, that I hired you to accompany me to events, but that somewhere in the middle of the performance I fell completely and genuinely in love with you, and I am asking you right here in this moment if there is any chance you feel the same way." The leap of faith, Camila stared at him, her mind reeling. He was willing to face the scandal head-on, to admit the truth publicly, to risk his carefully protected privacy and reputation. For her. Not to save face or protect his business interests, but because he loved her. She thought about the past month, the way her heart jumped every time she heard his footsteps in the studio, the way she found herself painting him into her work without realizing it, his presence woven through every canvas, the way she had started measuring her days by when she would see him next. She had been so focused on protecting herself from more pain that she had not recognized what was happening. She was falling in love with him, too. "I am terrified," she admitted, her voice shaking. "Derek taught me that love is something you earn by being worthy enough. That people leave when you stop being useful to them." Julian wiped away her tears with his thumbs, his touch unbearably gentle. "Derek was a fool who did not deserve you. Love is not something you earn, Camila. It is something you choose to give and receive. I am choosing to give you mine, completely, and without conditions. The question is whether you can choose to accept it, the true beginning." Camila thought about every painting she had created in this studio, every moment of freedom and possibility Julian had given her. But more than that, she thought about the man beneath the billionaire facade. The man who admitted his fears, who treated her dreams with respect, who made her laugh on difficult days and challenged her to believe in herself. She had spent so long being afraid of not being enough. But standing here in Julian's arms, seeing the vulnerability and love in his eyes, she realized something profound. She did not need to be enough for the whole world. She only needed to be enough for this one person who saw her, truly saw her, and loved what he found. "Yes," she whispered, "I choose this. I choose you." Julian's smile was brilliant and relieved as he kissed her, not for cameras or curious crowds, but for themselves. When they finally broke apart, he kept her close, his forehead resting against hers. Together they faced the storm of public scrutiny that followed. Julian made his statement exactly as he had promised, laying bare the truth of their arrangement and his genuine feelings. Some people mocked them. Others were moved by the honesty. But gradually, the narrative shifted from scandal to something else, a modern love story about two broken people who found healing in each other's company. The epilogue of New Beginnings. 6 months after that rainy afternoon, Camila stood in a gallery surrounded by her paintings. The exhibition was titled falling, forward, and every piece told a part of her journey from heartbreak to hope. Critics praised her raw emotional honesty and technical skill. Collectors bid enthusiastically on her work. But the moment she treasured most was when Julian wrapped his arms around her from behind and whispered in her ear, "I am so proud of you, because this success was hers, not bought or arranged, but earned through talent and courage." Julian had given her the space and support to grow, but the work, the art, the transformation had all come from within her. Derek had been wrong about everything. She was not ordinary or average or forgettable. She was extraordinary in her own right, and it had taken falling into the arms of an unexpected stranger to help her see that truth. Their arrangement had ended exactly as planned after 6 months, but their love story was just beginning. Built this time not on pretense or convenience, but on genuine respect, trust, and the courage to be vulnerable with another person. Sometimes the best love stories start with a desperate plea and a kind stranger willing to play along. And sometimes, if you are very lucky, the pretend becomes real, and you discover that you were never looking for someone to save you. You were looking for someone brave enough to stand beside you while you saved yourself.